Everyone, my name is Luke. This is the Outdoor Gear Review, and today I'm announcing a project which I'm going to work on with you all. Now, I have my phone here because I need to check on something. Recently, I was contacted by One Tigress to do a review of some products. Well, I found a tent on their website that I was interested in, and that was the Haven Chimney Tent. Now, today, filming the video, and I just noticed that I do not have the Haven Chimney Tent. What I have here is the Smokey HUT. So it looks like there was some sort of snafu in the process, but that's okay. Now for this series, this is going to be a series. Essentially what we are doing is a budget-friendly hot tent challenge. We are building a hot tent for wintertime use. And with this series, we're going through every single step, starting with the tent. Basically, this is going to be a setup, a first look, and then based upon your suggestions, we will go from here with the stove and everything else. This is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at this now? Let's see if this is going to work for our project. To start off, let's break this tent down. Let's see what we are working with. So, comes with a storage bag. Looks like we have a pole here. We have some tent stakes, and we have the fly. This tent does not have an inner. As you can see here, this pole is fully adjustable. You can raise this, lower this. Fairly lightweight, the quality seems good. We have some guy lines. 10 stakes. Wow. This thing is huge. So to start off here, I am simply going to stake this out. Then I will insert the pole. So it looks here that this tent has 2 doors. When it comes to the Black Orca Smokey HUT, this comes in at $160 from One Tigress. The weight of this tent is 2 pounds, 6 ounces. It is designed to be a hot tent. You have a stovepipe port, but this tent does not feature a stove jack, which is something that we will have to implement later on in the future. When it comes to the materials, this tent is composed of a 20D silicone-treated nylon. It features YKK waterproof zippers, and this is considered to be a 2-person tent once you have a stove installed. When it comes to the measurements, you're looking at 10.5 feet in diameter, and it's 5.2 feet tall. When it's all folded up inside of the storage bag, you're looking at 19.5 inches long, and it's roughly 6.5 inches wide. When it comes to the colors that this tent is available in, as you can see here, I have the green version, but on the website, only white and beige are listed. I have to be honest, I'm a little bit thrown off by the mix-up here with One Tigress and Black Orca. I was expecting one tent, but I got something else. Now, in the future, if I discover that there was some sort of error and this is actually a different tent, I will make that correction in a future episode. As it stands right now, I do believe this to be the Smokey HUT. That is what is labeled on the storage bag. With that being the case, let's go ahead and take a look at the inside here. So you have 2 doors on this, and they're huge. As you can see here, on this one door, you have the stove port. We will come back to that in just a minute. Let's take a look at the inside here. As you can see, you have the reinforced top. You have 2 vents, 1 vent here, 1 vent here. You have another door on the other side. You do have some loops at the top so you can attach gear and so on. Hang a light. And that's it. Let's come back out and let's take a look at the stove port. As you can see, it is Velcroed in, and this can be fully rolled back and stowed away underneath this vent. As mentioned before, this does need a stove jack so that you can be fully protected. Essentially what a stove jack is a heat resistant port that spreads out, dissipates heat so that this material doesn't melt. The stove goes right here. The pipe comes up. So you need that protection, again, to prevent your tent from melting. Before discussing the next steps, I really want to look over this tent to see how good the quality is. I'm going to go on the inside, take a look around at the stitching to see if I can see any light. That is essentially the light test. If light comes through, water will come through there too. So far, all of the stitching looks good. I really like how the doors fold back. That really is a nice feature. So there are a few places where light is coming through the tent, but luckily it is seam sealed. So it should, in theory, be waterproof unless there's an issue with the seam tape. With that being said, the next step is to really discover how waterproof is this tent. If the tent isn't waterproof, then we need to start over and find something else. Supposedly these are waterproof YKK zippers. Of course, we have the stove port here. I need to know how waterproof that is before going any further. As far as first impressions go, as a preview, I like this tent. The design is very cool. I like the two doors. I like the way that they open up. I mean, check that thing out. For 160 bucks, this thing offers you a ton of space. I'm a huge fan of TP tents. Now, of course, this design is not going to work in every location, especially areas that are really rocky. You do have to stake this thing out. You can do rock bracing, but that would be a ton of work to really get this to set up if you couldn't stake it out. I do like the fact that it has vents, one on each side. I wish that there was something to support this open. I can of course come up with something, but it would have been nice if it had some sort of support. Otherwise, it just lays down against the tent. Also, one thing that we will have to be careful about is that the stove port is right here, right next to that vent. So once we have the stove jack installed, we need to make sure to angle that away from this material. We definitely do not want it to melt. All right, everybody, that pretty much wraps it up for the first episode of the Hot Tent Challenge, the budget-friendly Hot Tent Challenge. It should be mentioned that this episode is not about going as cheap as possible, but budget-friendly. 160 bucks is an amazing deal as long as the hot chimney, smoky chimney, whatever this thing is called, turns out to be a good tent. If it's waterproof and the quality's good, 160 bucks, that's awesome. So the next step is waterproofing. If there's issues, we will fix those or simply go with a different tent. After that, we need to come up with a stove. I need for you all to start thinking, where do we want this to go? What areas are you personally interested in? What questions do you all have? Make sure to put those down below. I will try to answer some of those in the next episode. I need you all to think about a stove for this tent. Remember, we're doing budget friendly, but we're not going as cheap as possible. So start thinking about stoves for hot tents. With that being said, I'm going to say thank you very much. Everybody take care, strength and honor. If you have any questions, email me, comment down below, hit the like button, support on Patreon, 100% agenda free. I'm not trying to sell you anything. This is going to be fun. Everyone, take care.